Hello everyone. This video will show how to determine the horizontal asymptote, vertical asymptote, holes, and discontinuities of a rational equation. Now let's start off with horizontal asymptote. Horizontal asymptotes of rational function describes the behavior of the function as x approaches towards positive infinity towards the right or as x approaches towards negative infinity to the left. To find it, there are three cases for this. The first case is when the degree of the numerator is less than the degree of the denominator. The horizontal asymptote is always y equals 0. For the second case, when the degree of the numerator and the degree of the denominator of the rational function is equal, then to determine its horizontal asymptote, we are going to divide the leading coefficients of the numerator and the denominator. For case 3, the degree of the numerator is greater than the denominator, then there is no horizontal asymptote. However, the graph may have an oblique or slant asymptote instead. To determine the equation of the oblique or slant asymptote, we're going to divide the given rational function. We can use long division for it. Now, how do we find the vertical asymptote of a rational equation? Vertical asymptotes occurs at values of x where the denominator equals 0, provided that these points don't cancel out with the numerator. To determine the vertical asymptote, we have to make sure that we simplified the given rational expression by canceling any common terms before proceeding these steps. So these are the steps to determine the vertical asymptote. So once we cancel out common terms, we set the denominator equal to 0 and we solve for x. And this will represent the vertical asymptote. So how do we find the holes in rational functions? Holes in rational functions occur when a factor in the numerator and the denominator cancels out. At these points, the function is undefined. So these are the steps to determine how to find the holes of a rational function. First, we factor out the numerator and the denominator. After that, we are going to look for common factors, and whatever common factor, we cancel them out. And after that, we solve for the canceled factors. Whatever was canceled, we solve for x. And this represents the whole, the x coordinate of the whole. And we can substitute this x value into the simplified function in step 2. And we will be able to determine the y coordinate of the whole. Now let's go over the two types of discontinuities. Discontinuities come in two forms. The removable discontinuities, this represents the whole, and the non-removable discontinuities, this represents the vertical asymptotes. So these are the basic information about how to determine horizontal asymptotes, vertical asymptotes, holes, and discontinuities in a rational function.